Hey guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where every week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. I'm Shanae Howard. With me is Ryan Robinson
Hi.
and the heckle to my jekyll, Tommy Shelby. I almost said Tommy
I
Robinson.
thought you were going to say
Will do.
Tommy Rollins.
Yeah.
That's a good
Henry
name.
Rollins. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm a liar. Hi.
uh, how have you guys been? What games have y'all been playing?
I'm playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, trying to finish that up.
Um,
And I played some Beat Saber.
I want
And
to.
that's really it.
I want to hear how that Beat Saber went for you.
It went good, except when you have to go under the things, I'm really bad at going under the things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm old.
Sure.
And then I got this Batman Damned, which is super awesome. Pick it up.
Cool. It's got a swear word on the cover.
Yeah.
That means
Well,
it's not
it's
for babies.
DC Black Label, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn comics.
It's super cool. Like, I don't know if you guys had ever heard this, but like before Nolan directed Batman, Darren Aronofsky was supposed to direct Batman.
Yes!
That movie would have been fucked
Yeah.
up.
I feel like he would
I
have done something like this book.
Oh, cool.
Oh, now I really
Yeah.
want to read that book because I always wanted to know what that Batman was like.
Yeah. But yeah, it's super good.
Yeah. What that Batman do?
How you feeling about the Spider-Mans? Do you feel like you're the best Spider-Man you could be?
Yeah, I like it a lot. You know, like I like some of it more than the first game. Like I feel like all the side objective stuff that you're doing is more fun than the stuff in the first game. Right before I got on this call, I finished the Dave Fennoy Pigeon Quest, which was also in the first game, so that made me happy. But yeah, the side stuff you do is more fun. Your abilities are more fun, and that game looks pretty fucking amazing. So
Nice. What about you,
yeah.
Ryan?
So this week I've been playing quite a bit of Zombie Army 4 with
Oh yeah, I played that too.
with my friends, including Tom, and we had a very hilarious evening of playing Zombie Army 4 the other night. Um, I got so uh, there was this point like very early in the session where where our friend Eric had triggered this trap, the zombie trap that is a propeller that sucks zombies into it, and Tom.
Hold on, hold on. You're gonna tell us on live television?
I do I want to know this? Am I gonna be scarred? Am I no
Start the
longer
tape
gonna be
over.
a child
No,
and now gonna be an adult after this?
it was just funny because
I just got sucked up by a propeller.
like the propeller started right as Tom was about to walk in front of it, and I just hear Tom yell, "Oh no!" and I turn just inside to see him get sucked into it and die. um, that game is fun single player, but it is a lot of fun. Like the game gets more fun the more people you add to it. Um, I've also been playing. I also played through Tales from the Borderlands for the first time over the last 24 hours. That is the best Borderlands game, hands down. Uh, it's just very smartly written. It's got some genuinely funny moments, as well as some nice heartfelt moments too. Um, and it's just overall it was very fun to play through that. Um, and then I actually got back. I started playing Apex again, Apex Legends again today.
I
Um,
do feel like a legend. Do you feel like you're at your apex?
uh, I got 5 kills today, and that made me feel very much Apex. So, I got to try a couple of the new characters that I hadn't played as yet. Um, and yeah, that game is very very fun. I like it a lot. I think I stopped playing it because playing a team based battle royale with randoms is not very fun. But getting like a group of friends together to like run through the game, regardless of whether or not anybody's any good, it's just more fun with friends that you can like.
So you can't play that game solo?
I mean, well, if you're playing by yourself,
You can try.
It's gonna put you in a squad of other people. For a brief period of time, they had a solo mode, but that's since gone away. They do have duos, which wasn't something that the game launched with, but yeah, I like that. I like that game quite a bit. And I think, oh yeah, and I got the platinum for Assassin's Creed Valhalla the other night, so I was really excited about that. Best Assassin's Creed game. But that's it. That's me.
Shanae, are you drinking a Barks?
No, it's a Diet Coke.
Oh, okay.
Shanae, are you one of those kind of people who drinks diet soda for the taste?
Yeah, just for the taste of it.
Diet Coke.
Well, I'm gonna move off of this subject real fast because you're right. I just like there's besides like Mexican Cokes and maybe like Double Dr Peppers, like most non-diet sodas now like make my teeth feel gross. So I can only have like one or two sips before I'm sick of it. But I can finish an entire diet soda.
That's really cool. That's probably your most impressive talent, Shanae. Is your ability to consume
my
diet
inability
sodas.
to drink regular soda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week I have been playing. Me and Bert have been playing Divinity again. Because I finally got him away from WoW for a little bit, and then we actually watched all of the extended edition Lord of the Rings movies this past weekend.
Oh my god.
That's funny. Raph did the same thing.
I never watched any of the extended editions before, and I got my hands on the 4K ones. So I was like, well, I got a pretty TV now, might as well.
So how long are those movies after they extend?
12 hours.
Like 3 hour, like yeah, a little bit less than 12 hours, yeah. Like because
Each.
Because the runtime's still not the same. Because like you still can like cut out like 10-15 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
And some of them are like 3 hours and 45 minutes, and like 15 minutes of its credits. So it's 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours per movie.
Well, one of them's 4 hours.
Are you being for real? One of them is a 4-hour movie?
I think so. I think like one's like 4:10.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so I actually so I've like marathon other movies and like live tweeted it as I did it, just like a stream of consciousness thing. But since I never post on Twitter anymore,
yeah.
I saved a bunch of notes from it and some pretty funny jokes that Berto said along the way too. And then I've also got back into Three Houses due to like our topic, but also because a friend of mine is playing it, and then I heard it and I was like, well, I didn't finish that 5th playthrough.
See, I guess
so now I'm finishing up my 5th playthrough.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you're sitting around watching 4-hour movies if you're playing Fire Emblem 5 times. So.
Well, I mean, I did the 4 endings, and then the DLC came out, and I wanted to play that DLC.
Yeah.
So. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. I've been reading a lot lately. I'm really trying to get that Silmarillion finished.
The what?
The Silmarillion? It's the like history book for Lord of the Rings world.
Oh my god.
It's incredibly boring.
They don't cover all of that in the 4-hour movie?
No.
Wow.
They don't cover a portion of it. There's like entire characters. There's multiple characters just written out.
Wow. It's insane.
Or condensed. Like Arwen is not in the books that much.
I don't know who that is.
Aragorn's elf lady friend.
Oh, Liv Tyler?
Yeah, Liv Tyler.
Okay, that's all you gotta
she's
say.
like barely in the books.
Huh.
I thought that was Andy Serkis.
Yeah, like yeah, there's an elf named Glorfindel who goes, I believe is the one who goes and like saves Frodo. All I know is it's not Arwen who does it. Like whenever
Glorfindale?
Gargamel?
Garfield. Garfield the elf.
Oh, I know that guy.
I know that one. I like him.
He's a good elf.
Hates
Hates
Mondays.
Mondays.
But kind of like talking about our topic though. This week we wanted to talk about bisexual representation in video games specifically.
Hmm.
We've talked about in the past, like, you know, representation of like different genders, sexual orientations, races, and stuff. But I do feel like in most other media, bisexual representation is a very weird thing.
How do you mean?
Like, so there's like a lot of things that like tout themselves as being bisexual that aren't really. Like if your game has the exact same like Fallout or whatever, like has the exact same dialogue besides maybe a few pronouns, or it completely your game does not use pronouns at all, and you claim that you're doing bisexual representation, I don't think that I don't think you can really claim that. Like or like say your character has really any because it doesn't matter. You're not writing or it doesn't like change anything about that character.
Hmm.
And also there's a lot of characters that I see online that are said they're bisexual, but they're also not in the fact that they were either pansexual, like because they will fuck anything, and like it doesn't matter, like or is it like I guess like not race, but I guess like species it doesn't matter. I don't know. I guess like also some people say pansexual is a subset of bisexual. That is a little gray area. But like certain characters, like in Dragon Age, get touted as being bisexual, but it's
In
just like
BioWare games in general, right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, Mass Effect, I will say, I don't think it's necessarily. I don't know. Mass Effect is also weird because there are certain characters, like in the first game, there's only one bisexual choice, and then the second one, there's a couple, like two or three, and I think there's a little bit more in three of choices you can do. And if I remember correctly from my playthroughs, like I think that most of the dialogue is the same, but there are a couple of them that aren't. But it also kind of like does that weird thing that like Fire Emblem does, where I don't understand why they don't make certain characters have like be able to do same-sex relationships when all the other characters that I've read that do have the exact same dialogue regardless of gender. So then if it doesn't really make like if it doesn't make any changes in your storyline and if like who you pick and who you try to like ship together, then
Yeah.
why put any limits on it? It is
Sure.
a I don't know. So I feel like it's a weird thing in that instance because a lot of bisexual representation is either, hey, it's just anybody can do anything, and you just put your own headcanon to it, or the same thing that happens with a lot of minorities' sexual orientations is that there's terrible representation of it, where they're just like horny freaks who's like, yeah, I just want to fuck anybody.
Yeah.
And then, and the same thing also with a lot of other minority groups. Like there are, like I was reading about like Jacob Fry with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It was implied, and I know they kissed in the game, like with that Rothwell guy or whatever. But like people just thought that he was gay, and then later the writer went and said that he was bi, like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then Javier Garcia in the Walking Dead Telltale's game, the writer also came through like behind and said that he was bi, which like at least with Jacob Fry there was like some reason to say it because there's a romantic relationship with it.
So you want like hard confirmation in the game?
I just want it to be not necessarily like a hard confirmation. I say at least with like Syndicate, like that one saying fine like afterwards. But like Javier Garcia with like Walking Dead Telltale games, as far as I remember watching them or hearing about any of it, like his sexuality never really comes up. So why does it matter afterwards? It's kind of like the whole J.K. Rowling saying Dumbledore is gay afterwards. Like it's not really representation if it's not like stated in the media.
So
it's weird, right? Like, I get where you're coming from. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't,
Yeah, no, it's also just like it's a weird like nebulous thing where I have a lot of different thoughts on it, and I just want to talk about it. So this is also just like me working out my own thoughts on it, just recording it while I do that.
I think about some of my favorite characters in certain games, uh, where they are one thing or another, but it doesn't need to be stated. Just as with a straight character, it doesn't need to be stated, and that doesn't really bother me. It's like Kaine in the first Nier game is like pseudo hermaphroditic, and uh, what's his name? Can't remember his name now. Yoko Taro is just like his reasoning is like, well, those people exist, uh, and like nothing is made of it. It's not like she's fucking weird because of it or anything like that, right? Same thing with like Madeline from Celeste was confirmed to be trans, but like uh, there's nothing in the game like really pointing to that. I don't think that's a problem. I think when you go too far trying to make it such a thing that can oftentimes be problematic, you know?
I think
Um,
I
When
think
it's just a norm
yeah.
in the game world, like I think that's when it's done best.
I think
But
it's kind of weird with games like with basically any Bioware game, because I feel like those games, I feel like sexuality is kind of a strange thing in those games, because those games never explicitly acknowledge anything about you outside of your name and the things that you do. I think,
well, or that that you're gonna go slay a dragon.
yeah,
You
I
were
don't,
born to do it. It's your destiny.
but like there's nothing in those games to distinguish one character from another, which is, it's really the nature. Well, I should say one player character from another, because it's really the nature of those games where you can, create whatever kind of character you want.
right.
It's kind of hard to, it's hard to account for all the different possibilities. And so I think that even with like the romance options, like it's almost like to say that, like, especially it's weird with Inquisition with the, I can't remember his name. I know you said it, but the guy in Inquisition who was, people were saying is bi or gay. I can't remember, but like it's kind of hard to define the sexuality of non-player characters in those games when, as far as I can tell, they aren't even aware of your gender if you even have one. So it's just it's one of those weird things, and like to Tom's point, I think it's a hard thing to, I think that sexuality is such a non um I think it's such a non-visual thing that it's hard to make sure that you're representing those people without in some ways making it some kind of story beat at some point or pointing it out explicitly. So I think that
Um,
the only way
I
to like,
think
I think there's ways to do it.
yeah,
Like like I was reading a lot about Life is Strange. Still haven't played it,
Chloe.
but I watched. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
Chloe, she talks about like her past with dudes, and then can't she like also end up with Max like Caulfield or whatever, and Max Caulfield can also end up with Warren.
I don't know.
could
So like,
could say.
as far as like that goes on there, and then I think I haven't played it, so also correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Ellie in Last of Us 2, her love interest,
Yeah,
Diane,
Dina.
Dina. I think she like mentioned this before, like, sleeping with dudes in the past or having an ex-boyfriend at some point.
Sure. Yeah.
Or like, and I
Yeah.
think that there's like things like that are fine. And I also do like agree that some of it is weird, but I also like there's like the queer baiting that does happen where you say it like afterwards, but it didn't seem like any intent in there. But I do think that also like there's been some when I was looking at different like characters that have been like that that are bisexual, not just part of the LGBT spectrum, which all of it should be celebrated, and a lot of it really is, and a lot of people don't make a lot of really distinction when they think about it because they just think about like, oh hey, it just gives more options to people. But Axton in Borderlands 2.
Oh yeah, yeah, the soldier guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
apparently, like his thing where if a female res like if a male resed you or no, if a female resed you, like he had like a saying for that, and then due to coding, it would pop up when a male teammate would res you. So then people were like, "Oh, he's obviously like bisexual because of a bug." And then later in DLC, they like
Lean
put in a
into it.
couple, yeah, they lean into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, interesting, like play off the fandom, which I always like to see in like video games. Like to an extent, as long as it's not like pandering. I think that's like a fun thing to do. It's
I think it's interesting because that makes it sound like in his conception he wasn't bisexual, but because of response to that event, he was retconned to be represented as bisexual. That's what it sounds like.
I
Yeah.
mean, but also like the characters in Borderlands, like historically, don't have great stories or
Right.
backstories. So
Yeah.
going in and adding more details later, I do think that
Well,
one's
and
like
it's
not
it's better
bad.
than the alternative because I could totally see Randy coming out and being like, "Oh no, he's straight. It was a bug." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like taking offense to it. I could see that guy being that way.
Sure.
But I think
But
like I know you guys haven't played much or if any Night in the Woods, but the main character
I
in that game,
love
May,
May. Yes, May talks about it
yeah.
too.
But I
Uh,
think like it's interesting because like May's whole thing is just like I'm not picky, and like
yeah.
what I like about that is that is very much how that character would be, and you know that before you get to that point, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I
It's like
prefer it to be either a natural thing for the character you are playing, or like just not really a thing. Like yeah, it can be said, but like does it have to be a huge deal? Do we make a huge
no.
deal when a character is straight? You know, I don't know.
People make a
Um,
huge deal about one character. I mean, like fandoms and like things like that do. And I'm not saying like it does have to be explicitly stated, but I do think that like if you are someone who is bisexual or like pansexual or like transgender or anything, seeing your specific brand of LGBTQIA like is nice. It's nice seeing
sure, no, I
something
get
that you
that,
can, yeah.
but I
So like as
also
far
think
as
like we make a lot of assumptions with probably the vast majority of video game characters as to what their sexual preferences are.
I mean that's true. I mean if but that doesn't mean that necessarily it's representation of any sexuality then.
Yeah,
And
If that,
I do think it's important though to I think this is a universal statement that I would make again about really any sort of positive representation that it I think that is important for people to in a way see themselves in the video games that they play or the movies that they watch, because it makes people feel seen in a way that they might not be used to. Um, so I think it's something that is very important to do. I think also that there's certainly a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, but I never want anybody to feel like they're being pandered to or feel like they're being patronized. Um, and that's always my thing with things like that is I never want people to feel like they're being pandered to or patronized or even worse being made fun of.
yeah. And I feel like some examples are really obvious of that, and some I think are probably just very subjective to your own experience and how
Yeah.
you react to it. Um, I did kind of because I think this is a game that we've all played. Grand Theft Auto 5, Trevor Phillips.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What do y'all thoughts on that? Because like
I mean, he's a
there are
terribly
great.
written character.
I mean, like there's terrible people that do act like that that
Yeah.
fall in that spectrum.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about like that. I mean, also I mean, so do you mean terribly written on multiple fronts?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, just his actual writing or the fact that he's written to be a terrible person, because both are true.
Yeah.
And it kind of like makes me like cringe a little bit. There is like confirmation and also like talking about him like raping dudes in prison and stuff.
What? Two characters, Franklin and Michael,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like, it's funny when those two were written so well, and this guy is just like he's GTA 5's version of like Jared Leto Joker, or you know,
I honestly, I
oh,
honestly
look at
think
how fucking crazy I am, you know, like I don't know.
I think that
It
I think that Trevor is very much like a persona, supposed to be some kind of personification of what people believe Grand Theft Auto to be, and
Sure.
the way that like people tend to play Grand Theft
then
Auto.
they didn't write it very well to the point where I got that was their
I
concept
don't
for
know.
the
It
character.
seems very it seems very like he seems like very on the nose to me. Like, I will kill anyone, I will fuck anyone. That's that's me. I'm the game. So, you know. But I agree with Tom. He's a terribly written character, and I don't know that. I don't know that I'd ever thought about his sexuality in any way, because I try not to think
I
about
mean, it
that
comes
guy.
up a couple times.
It does, but like there are so many other things about that character that would, you know, populate that space in your brain.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you know,
true. I mean,
him being
yeah, for
bisexual is like such a non-thing, really. Like,
Yeah.
I think it just falls into him being a fucking creep.
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, so also, another character that maybe also you can like explain to me more because I didn't play the game, but I watched a video on some of his lines in the game, and then also if you're talking about it, Vamp from Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
Oh yeah.
he's a
That.
boss character.
Yeah, that
I
guy.
think like at some point, Snake just happens to say he's bi, but
Yeah,
like,
I don't
there's
know.
no
he
real,
says he says we call him Vamp because he's bisexual, and
yeah,
I was like, and so like Kojima was saying that like that wasn't like an actual slang term. He just created it because he thought that like people in like Eastern Europe called like slutty women
promiscuous
that.
females, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
And that
yeah,
was
it doesn't really matter. Like that really doesn't
that was
matter, you know.
like
Yeah.
but when you look at like when I'm looking at like hey like bisexual characters in video games and that pops up, I do think that it's very funny that that's what pops up, and I was like
Yeah,
I have no idea who the fuck he is,
yeah, yeah.
but from the things that I was looking at was really funny. I was laughing pretty hard just because it's so like not reality.
Yeah, I don't. Granted, I think the last time I played a Metal Gear Solid game with Vamp in it was about, I don't know, 12 years ago. But I think about him and those video games and how he and all the and, like anything that he said or did in the game. Like, the only romantic interest I've ever heard of him speaking of was a woman. Which I don't think that discounts the possibility of him being a bisexual. I just think that, like, where did ever
Clearly stated in the game,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and also just a term that I don't think anybody has ever heard
But
nor actually existed. Though, if I was gonna get like called something derogatory, being called a vamp does not sound like the worst thing ever.
like, also,
Uh,
I think that so much of those games is like, with like terminology like that. I think that so much of those games is like are like very, like, not remotely close to reality with like a lot of shit. And so,
some of it's
like,
localization and
yeah,
like and all that, and that's fine if you like. I mean, I have a very loose grasp on Spanish.
sure.
Like he like knows multiple languages. Like fuck it. Like
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think.
say that like
Well, I don't think that, and I don't think that they call them vamps in Spanish either.
they do not that I know of. But I'm just saying, like, as far as it goes, like, I don't know slang. I don't know. Oh, I don't know a lot of slang in Spanish. Like, I don't like it's a hard thing. Like, you have to be like really in the culture to know like some things, and also like, fuck it. It's not that it's not like it's not an actual offensive term.
But that said,
yeah,
Vamp is a much cooler bisexual than Trevor Phillips. I'll say that much.
Um, and then also I wanted to talk about the Persona games because there's
oh
been a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
characters
What's his
that
name?
have
Kanji,
been, yeah, Kanji and
right?
4 is what I
Yeah.
want to talk about. Um, because I didn't play that game, not really. So like that one was also one of the ones I looked at the videos for, but I also read a lot on the Persona Wikipedia,
Yeah.
and it sounds
Well,
like they
he was
handled.
a bully, you see,
Yeah,
and he was a bully because he wasn't being his true self,
Sure, he was acting out.
which is a very
which is
anime,
bisexual.
which is very anime, and also very Persona,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and but from what I have heard, that it was actually like not like done in a like derogatory way, but what I saw it, nothing looked like
Yeah.
mean spirited about it. It was just like
No.
more of like afternoon special, and which is fine because that's a reality. Some people like when they hide things about themselves, they turn into bullies because it turns into anger,
Yeah.
and that's like that's an
I think that's
unfortunate thing.
yeah, but I think that's also like that's true. That's true to life too, right? Like
Yeah.
like like people like especially like young
True
men.
life.
Yeah, true life. You
Are
think
you
you
drinking a
know
White Claw?
me?
Fuck no, I'm drinking a Red Bull.
Oh,
Oh,
uh,
it was white like in the light. I was like,
You know I don't drink that fucking shit.
but a lot of like closeted. There are like a lot of closeted young men who like act out violently because of you know
yeah.
because of that sort of thing, which is like it's weird because I think that while I haven't played Persona 4, so I can't speak explicitly to that, but at the point that I got to in Persona 5, I think that portrayal of a young, you know, sounds likely to be closeted bisexual man, in contrast to like the very predatory, very creepy older gay dudes in Persona 5. I think that like it seems sort of they're trying to get their legs under them as far as how they talk about that stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah. So like a bunch of other examples too, like where because I kind of like first started just like looking at characters that are, and then looking at it as a whole, and then seeing if I could find any statistics as far as like video game writers and developers and game makers,
Hmm.
as far as that goes. And I just feel like same like I said earlier, it's the same thing with I feel like with movies and TV shows. When it comes to some like sexualities that are more open, where it can't like where you can't like I granted all sexualities on a spectrum, but in a lot of people's minds, it's very black or white with straight or gay. And it's like and it's nice to like see more spectrum stuff. And so
Sure.
it's, and going out and looking for it, there was actually a lot more than I thought there was, but a lot of the list did fill with like characters where it didn't matter because their sexuality never comes up,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
in any true meaningful way.
I find often that when searching for blank characters in video games, at a certain point people get very loose with their definition of what
Yeah,
of what that
because they
thing
want to fit
is.
like a 10 list or a 15 list
Yeah.
or whatever. I was looking at like LGBTQ forums. I looked at the Wikipedia list of all the LGBTQ characters that are like stated in games.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I see things like Morgan from Darkstalkers being canonically bisexual, which
Yeah.
makes sense.
But I mean that's been shown, not necessarily in the game. Well, no, maybe
Is
one
it
of her
in
endings.
I
But
think in
like it's
Marvel vs.
been
Capcom
shown in
2 it shows
yeah.
it.
Well, and there's been like Darkstalkers manga and cartoons and all that, but like I don't know. To Ryan's point earlier that the you know the character that you're playing as in a game is often what you reflect yourself onto that character. That's a player avatar, right? And like I don't think that there's anything wrong with a lot of these games that don't specify for
No.
you to like you shouldn't just assume that the character is straight. There's frequently characters who are well, I shouldn't say are straight, right? But like I think about Gears of War a lot, and there's a couple of those characters who have spouses of the opposite sex, but still seem like they might swing both ways, you know? But it's never stated. I don't know.
I also think that a lot of the time with this sort of thing where a lot of times when you get games that have confirmation of that sort of thing, or kind of you know meaningfully cover that sort of thing, is I think in my experience you see a lot of that in the indie space, um, where it seems like developers have more creative freedom over how these characters are realized,
Yeah.
and because it seems less about, because with those games it seems less about appealing to the largest market share and more about kind of making the game that you had envisioned and making the characters that you had envisioned,
Sure.
and
Space that gives way to that you want to stand out and you want to talk about stories that the AAA games aren't playing. Because
right,
then why would they get yours when they can get the one with millions of dollars behind it?
yeah,
Uh, so there's also like the appeal and the kind of like strive to tell a more unique experience, even if you don't have like if you're not even if you're not making like a new play style or whatever.
yeah,
Um, I mean, like I said earlier, all LGBTQIA minority like representation where people can see, feel heard, and like appreciate in a game and see themselves in it,
Yeah.
which is like really everyone's thing is great. Like I am not knocking all these games, like all the Bioware games, all the stuff, like all the Fire Emblem stuff. Like obviously, I still love these games. But like I do think that like looking at the list and looking at everything, I feel like I am a little bit more optimistic about like the representation that's shown in games and discussed in them than I thought I would be whenever I brought up the topic to you, Ryan.
yeah. I think though also that, like, I'm not, I don't know, I'm not usually one to like give corporations credit for anything, but I do feel like
You've never done nothing good, but I'm gonna buy your game.
uh, I do think that like more of them have become a little bit more outspoken as far as at least an intent to include more diverse video game protagonists. And what way that materializes, I have no way of knowing, but I have to think that at some point, at down the road, like we might see a AAA game with like you know uh, a very a very like an outwardly bisexual character. Um,
Absolutely, we will.
but I
You know, this is like such a weird, like small. I mean, I guess to me, small because I'm a straight man, but small thing in representation. But I was thinking about Housemarque's upcoming game, Returnal, in which you play as a white female, right? But I was thinking about like all the games where the main protagonist is a female, and Returnal is one of the only ones I can think of where your main protagonist is a female who is like probably creeping up on 50, if not older, you know? And I was like, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
So
and
you're
it's
playing as a
Um,
granny. It's like specifically in like a Nintendo game or something like small, like a mobile game where you're just
right, right.
playing specifically as a grandma, not
yeah,
just like any old lady.
Yeah. But like,
Specifically.
she's a badass, though, you know? She's
yeah,
fucking shooting down all those fucking aliens or whatever they are.
yeah.
And like, Housemarque traditionally doesn't make AAA games, but like, this looks to be a AAA game, you know?
I haven't looked at any videos of it.
Yeah. And I
I
think they're charging $70 for it, so.
I think that I think
Oh,
that with anything,
70. No, sir.
when you play any game that features like a protagonist that is like somebody that you don't normally see, regardless of
Yeah.
like age or ethnicity or sexuality,
Right.
whenever like it's a character that you don't normally see, it's like it's one of those things that is like it kind of makes the whole game feel a little bit different.
Well, it's like we've seen plenty of old dudes, right? We've played as plenty of old dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I can't think of another game where you're playing as an older female. You know,
Yeah.
it's always some young, busty, whatever lady. You know, like
Yeah.
it's rarely is it a. I mean, I can't think of ever where I've played as an older woman. You know,
Not like where they're like not where it's like a game where it like not unless you're going real specific with it. Because you want to say like, oh, what about this? Like you could say like, oh, what about McGonagall in the Lego Harry Potter games? Like, yeah, I guess I've played that,
sure.
but and yeah, she's a
That's
playable character, I guess. But
But
they're
that's
not like,
also a Lego person, you know.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, like, and there's like
But an
other,
elderly Lego person, right?
oh.
yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's getting to your top tens list of
Well,
Yeah.
I'm with you, right? 'Cause,
reaching
like,
for
late
shit.
40s, early 50s isn't really even that old.
Yeah.
But like, we don't ever see that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh God, no! I'm about to be 30 next month. I'm no longer going to be in video games.
Gross.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
God, I'm about to be a
disgusting.
crone, and I'll never see myself again.
How old you
was ever
are.
Returnal, and then never again.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
we agreed that once you turned 30, we were kicking you off the show.
Yeah. This is a young person's show. We like to stay hip.
You're gonna get a newer model.
I say as my 36th birthday was less than a week
Dave's
ago.
gonna show up after her birthday with one of those hats with the fucking propeller on it.
Hello.
I got little suspenders.
Hello, fellow kids.
I'm just gonna look like Pitt. I'm just gonna get like a striped shirt.
Sure.
Or not. Is it Pitt or
You're-
Ness? What's the one where it
Ness.
has the Ness?
I mean,
yeah.
Pitt-
No, he doesn't have
but
a
but
propeller hat.
you know,
but yeah.
isn't Pitt the kid Icarus? He's got kid in the name,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
So,
yeah. But yeah.
But like,
Uh,
I think I've run into this sort of thing. I've run into the same kind of questions about this sort of thing as I ran into with thinking about characters in thinking about other kinds of characters in games, right? Like, so, Kaylee and I were having a talk maybe a few weeks ago about video games where you can play as a black woman, right?
yeah.
And
you're
so-
like asking people.
And so, like, the overwhelming response when I asked this question was, "Well, play the
Games about like different games where like in like some bisexual subreddits and forums that I'm in where it's just like yeah everyone sees the appeal of being bisexual, just pick the choices that give you the most advantage, play the odds." Like when it comes to like conversation pieces.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
And it's fun, like 'cause it's one of those fun things that like you know groups can talk about because it happens, and it's not really, and it's still like addressing that there is an issue, but also like not being angry about it.
What do you mean?
Oh, just saying like this game, like Bioware games, for example, say like I've seen a bunch of those saying like, oh yes, they like now the masses can see the appeal of being bisexual, like in a game, even though like it's not really what this is because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter, as we talked about. So it's like something that could be like say like something that they could be more mad about, like the representation or like nothing ever being actually addressed or whatever, or like promoted on, and like not just like those games but any of the games, and still have it like still making jokes about it but still being aware of it. I think it's a pretty fine thing to do.
Yeah. You know, it's so weird, right? Because I think that like, you know, and honestly, like, it goes with anything. Like the detractors or something, they might be fewer, but they're always the loudest because just the way people like to be about shit that they don't like.
Sure.
They very like to very loudly complain. Like it's like when it goes with like with business, like if people are happy with what you're doing, you're probably not going to hear about it. But if they're pissed off about
Right.
what you're doing, you're definitely going to hear about it. And I remember, like, this is something that I was.
I mean,
This is something that I was thinking about when you mentioned The Last of Us 2, is that like the amount of times that I heard that game being referred to as an angry lesbian simulator, which is like it's both reductive and like mean. And
Yeah. That's not a video game's problem though. That's a people problem, you know?
right. And I
Yeah.
think that like one of the things that And this isn't me like blowing the lid off some huge revelation or anything, but I think that one of the reasons why we don't, well, two reasons why we don't see that sort of thing is one, people tend to like to write what they know,
Yeah.
and they tend to stick very closely to that. And I think that has a lot to do with like how often people can point out when someone is writing about something that is not a lived experience for them.
Yeah.
But also thinking about like, I think these decisions are also like very much like a a decision made about defending the bottom line, right? And what is what is having a character being A going to do to sales versus the character being B instead? Uh, and so
Similar stuff you see, like where they see like marketing and like
yeah,
statistics saying that like games with female protagonists make less.
yeah,
Well, it reminds me of like when we did that. We did an episode a long time ago on box art,
mm-hmm.
and box art specifically that had like multiple genders and races on the cover, where no one specific was the main character, and the white male was always the one that was front and center. You
Mass
know,
Effect.
Yes. Or
but
slightly in the shadows, and half of his face is
right,
like really
Yeah.
shadowy.
but like I do think like I won't say like video games don't have a long way to go because they do, but I think credit where credit is due, right? Like
Yeah.
if you look at a lot of other mediums there that have been around longer, even they're much
Oh,
farther
yeah.
behind video games, right? I think about like Batman Death of the Family. So in the original run of Death of the Family, in like the single issues, the floppies, right? Joker, it's very much hinted that he is bi and in love with Batman, But if you buy that in any form since then, that's all been taken out. Why?
Yeah.
He can love and hate Batman. It's a complicated relationship.
Well, I do think that
I
like people have like a really like people tend to have, and in my experience with conversations that I've been privy to, I think people tend to have like a very specific perspective of bisexuals, and
they always forget our two main icons, Lucy Liu from Xena,
Lucy Lawless.
Lucy
and
Lawless.
Lucy Liu
Idiot.
was in Charlie's Angels.
Lucy Flawless. Fuck it. I was talking to Berto about this yesterday when we were watching Lord of the
I
Rings.
mean, look. To be
Lucy
fair,
Flawless.
Lucy Liu
Lucy
might.
Liu.
To be fair, Lucy Liu might be a bisexual. I don't know, but
She's
I
definitely
watched Ally
played a
McBeal, all right,
character.
so-
Sorry, Lucy Flawless from Xena, and then Li Yang from Mulan,
I don't know.
the captain.
Sure, he might be. I don't know.
No, he is, because he's like a giant bisexual icon, because like he was still in love with Mulan before he knew she was a lady. He doesn't give a fuck. He's in love with Mulan.
Shanae, I saw Mulan when I was 10, so I'm gonna take your word for it. Okay.
That's why he was so mad and distraught that he didn't know.
Yeah. Um.
But
But
I mean, like,
the funny thing with DC, right, though, is like I think that they censored that in every other print of that comic because it was canon, right? It's part of the New 52. And I'm like, why is it okay for like Elseworlds or whatever, but like it's not okay for Joker to be canonically bi?
yeah,
Like
just because
I don't know.
like again, I think that people like, and I wonder like, would
I'm
people
looking for my Harley Quinn and my Clayface.
would people be would like people have a bigger time with it if Joker was bisexual or homosexual?
I don't know, but like I think to your point about corporations, I think DC is like, well, we'll probably sell a lot fewer Joker Halloween costumes
Sure.
if we make him bisexual.
Yeah, no. All the you be my Joker, you be my Harley people, I mean, they'll
Yeah.
definitely stop buying all their comics, and the main buyers.
Those people aren't buying the comics. Yeah.
I guess I just feel like, and it goes back to, I'm gonna bring up Jared Leto Joker again.
Oh God!
But
Can we not?
I look at that guy.
Ryan, do your laugh.
I
I
mean,
hate that.
you know what? I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna abandon that point. But like, I just think that people have such a there's a point where like, because they don't really ever actually care if a female character is bisexual, but if it's a male character, like, he better be fucking straight, dude.
I
This
don't know.
character,
People
he
give,
does
give a
not
lot of shits about
fuck
Ellie being gay.
dudes. Okay, this guy does not fuck
True.
dudes.
People did.
Yeah.
I think it's also the fact that it's Joker being in love with Batman. I feel like if Joker had like a boy toy on the side as one of his henchmen, and he kicked him out of his bed at the same time like Harley or whatever, they did it in like that kind of way. I honestly don't think that it would have made. I don't think it would have gotten like pulled. I think that it pisses off the homophobes,
Yeah.
and
Of course it does.
and it pisses off all the hardcore Batman fans. We're like,
I don't think
no,
it
no,
does,
no,
though.
no. There's like
People
two sides of
adore
the same coin.
Batman New 52, right? Like Court of Owls, Death of the Family. People love
Court of
that
Owls
shit.
is great.
People,
I
it's
do
the
love Court of
same
Owls.
thing. It's the same writer. It's the same story. You know, like it's.
I never got to Death of the Family. I stopped at Court of Owls. Court of Owls. But yeah. So I don't know. I think that there are some like diehard like non-homophobic fans that are just like man, like I liked the dichotomy that was like there without the romantic feelings beforehand.
Sure, but we can accept everything else about the New 52. That's
Yeah.
the problem. You know, bisexual Joker's the problem, not any of this other bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't know if y'all ever look at the BBB forums
I don't know what
for the
that
Better Business Bureau
Why would I look at those forums?
because they're funny.
I see.
So yeah, so this lady was like complaining about a commercial being pornography, and she was like, and it was like a eHarmony one where it's like two women like cooking and like one like feeds the other and like kiss at the and it's like eHarmony blah blah blah. And about like how it's pornography and how eHarmony like did this like public wrong, like the service that she watched it on like did and stuff like that. And like
I had to see that.
and like and
I was
the
eating
entire
at the time.
she was saying like I have a problem with the gays. It's not because it's two women.
If you
It was like every other sentence. I'm like, if you have to back it up that much,
I just think that if you say,
I think it's because it's the two women, ma'am.
if you preface any group of people with the word "the," you have a problem
yeah.
with that group of people.
The youths. I have a problem with the youths. I'm almost an old lady now. So yeah. But it's yeah. I mean, so I don't know how we got to that topic. I recently went through that and it was super funny. She was talking about how she was gonna watch Seinfeld, and then the commercial popped up. I'm like, I have been watching Seinfeld. That's not pornography compared to Seinfeld.
I mean, basically anything is pornography if you try hard enough, but
No one wants your can-do attitude here. Get out of here with that shit.
look, I think that, you know, honestly, I think honestly, like, people, you know, they have a problem with people resist change in a certain way that is very like strange for a medium that seems to try to be evolving as rapidly as video games do. And I think that it should be okay to accept the fact that, like, look, this character is who they are, but like not everything is for you. Right? Like, not everything has to be for you. You don't have to be into everything. Not everything has to be made specifically to you know, cater to you. Like, sometimes it's okay. Well, it's always okay to make things that speak to very specific people, and if it doesn't speak to you, that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that that's not something that you identify with, and you can either choose to engage with it, or you can choose not to engage with it. Uh, and I think that it's just so weird to me because like we have so many characters who are the same. We have so many characters who are exactly the same. They talk the same, but they do the same things.
It's
But
not even characters that like don't have an actual backstory where it's just a blank avatar for you to
yeah,
put in yourself. It's like it's the same characters, like let's just say like for men, like where it's like save the woman, they had a wife, someone killed their wife, someone something happened with their family,
yeah,
and they gotta go on this giant quest because of it.
my family, Harrison Ford.
Fright Castle.
And
Yeah,
I
But
don't and
man, imagine if the Punisher was bisexual. Holy shit,
is
man.
he not?
I don't know. Is he?
so
I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know what
Right?
that.
In Horizon Zero Dawn,
That would be
what's
cool, though.
what is her prerogative? Like why is she doing the things that she's doing? Why is she fighting robot dinosaurs? Is it just like for her village?
So at the beginning of the game, some leader assigns her a quest to do a certain thing and find out things, and also get to the bottom of something, and then so
And she couldn't say no. She couldn't
She's
be like,
gun
I'm gonna
free,
go.
you see.
She's like, I'm not gonna. I she's like, I'm gonna go weave this basket, or like, I don't know, like cook some vegetables. Like,
so Shanae, you know, women can do
What?
women could do things besides cooking and weaving baskets. They can shoot bows and arrows too.
well, like when
And
I
in
saw
fact,
like
the
the
last
trail.
time I saw a basket being woven, it was by a man.
Yeah. Wow, Shanae. You know, you think we came so far,
Not
and
all
here's Shanae
women are
setting
the
us
only
back.
people that can. I was just trying to think, like the only thing I've seen, like I was trying to think the only time I've seen Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the trailers or like watching you play a little bit.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, what did they do in the village? And I was like, I saw some. I couldn't think of the word gardening. So
Uh-huh.
gardening was also a thing that I wanted to pop up. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, all right, whatever.
They have dinosaur discos.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs.
But I don't know. I think that like I wonder. I can't remember if that game has romantic options in it or not. I don't think so.
So
Though.
I've never played it.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about it, and really, what like kind of like got me to that thought process in the beginning was like seeing stuff, thinking about it, also just uh someone brought up. I was trying to explain bisexual erasure to somebody, and I was like, I can't think of that really happening in video games besides like the make a character things. I was like, but also like I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't really
like
think of
Ryan, when Ryan told me what you had wanted to talk about,
anything.
like it took me a good minute to think of a few characters, that were bi, and I mean, you told me about some that I had no idea. I didn't know that there was an Assassin's Creed bi guy, like
Sorry,
I knew about
the new
May and
the new
Chloe
Fall
and,
Guys, bye guys.
well, see, you know what? The,
But
Are
I
tho-
think
wait,
that-
are
that-
those
I
things
think that
fucking?
says something though, right? Like I know a lot of fucking video game characters,
Yeah.
and I had to try hard to think of just a few,
So
And it's not even like it's not even like we put that many descriptors on there. Like I mean,
Yeah, you put
It's-
one
it's-
descriptor on there.
one, not any gender, race,
Yeah,
anything like
right.
one.
May's a cat, but yeah.
May is a cat,
well, I
and
thought
she's not too picky.
so. I thought so. And like I'm gonna bring it up again, but like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like they talk about sexual. They don't really talk about sexuality. Like they just assume that anybody could be into a man or a woman, and they talk about it in such a way that it's just like, in a way that like they don't ever consider it. Like it's not even like a thing that comes up. It's just like some people, like sometimes people just want to be with guys, sometimes people want to be with ladies, and it's just
And I
whatever.
think that's a good progression, right? Like
Yeah.
when Shanae's
Fine.
saying like when it's not specified,
Yeah.
like yeah,
It's still-
that sucks.
It's still
but
it's still LGBTQ like like
But right, when you
supportive.
think about
It's
the
just not
history of that series,
bisexual.
when you think about the history of Assassin's Creed games, where for the longest time you could only play as a man,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because like and what was noteworthy to me about it is they don't when they say things like that, they're not only referring to the player character but other characters in the world as well.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating to me because I don't know shit about Vikings or their society, but it very much seemed to me like with at least within the confines of this game world, the people in this society were just like, you know what, it doesn't matter, like you're into whoever you're into and that's fine, and I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting, especially for a Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
Um,
Still crashes a lot though, so.
so I got a question for Tom, but before that, do y'all have any closing thoughts on this?
Really, I mean, I think it's a good conversation to be had. I don't know. I guess like
I mean, we've really to wrap up.
We've had similar conversations, right? We've had similar conversations about minorities of any type.
Yeah.
Right. I think the more the merrier. Fucking do what you do. I was playing fucking Spider-Man today and saw the Black Lives Matter thing, and I was like, hey, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
More of everything.
Yeah. And honestly, piggybacking off what Tom said, I think that seeing things like that, in some small way, kind of makes it feel like I shouldn't necessarily say that it makes you feel like the developer is on your side, but it shows that the developer is aware of the existence of people who identify this way. And
it makes you feel like at least the developer's not David Cage or Randy Pitchford.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least I'm buying a product from some seemingly decent people.
Yeah.
So is it like, is it just something that you see? It's not like something that you interact with, or like even something that like it stays in there for a while. Like
you
even
go
if
to get a reward from the citizens, and it just happens to be on the wall where you are at.
Yeah.
So it's not even something that they like, hey, we made this wall. Like
it's big. It covers the side of a building,
I know, but it's not a big sign and a character talking about it. Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. No.
But yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say. Like more, more of all of that. More old people. More minority groups. Like everything. Do more of it.
So last week though, I was on a show. I listened to most of y'all's episode together. I did not finish it. So I have a question.
The whole time I was gone, I listened to the entirety of everything you were on, Janae. But hey.
Even my relationship show?
Well, everything you were on with Ryan. Because I like Ryan.
Then you would remember Ryan talking about the Black Lives Matter thing and how much it touched him. So, save me, Tommy One Kenobi, or help me, Tommy One Kenobi. Your only hope.
It's over now. I'm not helping anybody.
So I tried playing Mr. Shifty.
Oh, cool! You were bamfing all over the place.
Yeah, big bamps.
And
it's the same thing he's wearing in X2.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. That was intentional.
I still have not gotten past that part in The Last of Us, Tom. I don't know if you've helped me.
Well, I gotta say, watching you guys do that during my absence was like, I liked it. It made me smile every time. And like, Shanae, I totally forgot to ask you. Did you finish Nier Automata? Did you get ending E?
No, I haven't. But it's been super fun because so another coworker just started playing it today. And
Yeah.
so similar to Fire Emblem houses,
You're
I
dipping
now
back
want
in.
to I now want to play it again. And
Just get ending E. You're so close.
I, and then my and then I've been talking to another group of friends, and two of them have played it through most of the endings. So also been talking to them about it as well. It's been weird since I played it. It has come up quite often in my like social sphere.
Probably because
Uh,
the Replicant remake is about to come out.
well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a weird quinky dink, but that makes more sense. Timing. Um, so like, is there any games that you would recommend that I should play that might help me get past that one part in The Last of Us? Or can I
You're
give you
playing
my
the first
PlayStation?
Last of Us?
Yes.
I think if you can beat Uncharted 1,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
I've
dude.
can get through The
Uncharted
Last of
1. I
Us.
don't know if I beat it, but I've played Uncharted 1. And
Look,
Yeah.
I think if you can negotiate,
it's the stealth.
if you can
It's the
negotiate,
stealth part.
if you can negotiate the shooting in Uncharted One, The Last of Us.
I think
Negotiate
if
or
you can beat
navigate?
Miles Morales, you can beat The Last of Us. Miles
I'm
Morales has a
so
lot more stealth than the original Spider-Man.
well. Then I'm not playing that game because I'm not good at stealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is what this has taught me.
Okay. Also, Splinter Cell.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not good at those games either.
Play the first
I
Splinter
play.
Cell.
I tried playing Dishonored, and I tried to be stealthy,
Uh huh.
Me too,
and
dude.
I
I was
made
bad
it.
at Dishonored.
I made it to where you got your mask from the mask guy 20 minutes into the game before I said fuck this and accidentally killed him.
Yeah.
I
I
ca-
feel like the
I
only stealth I'm good at is like Metal Gear and things that are Metal Gear adjacent, like Volume, you know? But like, you don't gotta be that stealthy in Last of
there's a
Us.
there's a part I can't get past. I have played through it at least 50
Wait,
times
is it
now.
which stealth section are we talking about? Like the first one?
It's like in the very beginning where you first get across clickers and you have to go like through the room.
Yeah.
And I
I know
have
exactly
tried
what you're talking about.
and I have tried moving the brightness scale up and down because I
Yeah.
feel like maybe I just don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I've tried throwing Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
I've made it to that side room to the corner, and
Yeah.
I have waited like 5 minutes, and I biff it
Okay,
every
do me a favor.
fucking time.
Do me a favor. Over the course of this next week, before we record the next episode, try it one more time and try not attacking anything. No Molotovs, no nothing. Just try getting to where you need to go.
I don't do the Molotovs to attack them. I do them, and I throw the bricks and the stuff to get their attention other places, so
Don't
I can
do any of that. Just movement.
I can't just move slowly. I just walk like a normal person. I tried doing the easing. I'll try.
Can't
but I don't
or won't.
I can't. I'm not good enough. That I need like two brand new
finally
like,
got you to say
Joy-Con
it.
controllers.
Okay, here's what you do. You put it on the list.
Yeah. And then
Then you make Berto do with it.
No, if you put it on the list,
I
then
have asked him to try it and see if he can get past it. I have asked another friend who has come over to see if they can get past it.
I have an idea. Shanae, I have an idea.
It took me more than once. It took me a few tries.
Let me.
I know
Over 50?
exactly.
Over 50?
The one you're talking about.
Let me.
No,
Okay.
not.
Okay. I have an idea.
But
Shanae, do remote share on your PlayStation, and I will beat it for you from my house.
dang, record that, Ryan.
Yeah.
Capture that.
Yeah.
Can we do this so I can get past this fucking part and then get stuck on the next part?
Because a friend of mine was having trouble with the first combat encounter from Control, and so she had me remote. She like let me remote into her PlayStation, and I beat it for her.
I am so down for that. I would be at this point. I will try Tom's thing, but if that doesn't work, you're doing this for me, Ryan. I'm done with it.
Okay.
I want to play this game that people like, but I can't.
You think it'd be easier if Joel could bamf all over the place?
Well, I remember we were talking about. I remember Tom. We were talking about how easy The Last of Us would be if Joel was Batman.
Sure. It wouldn't be a problem, you know?
Yeah.
He'd have been to Utah or wherever it was in 90 days.
Or if it was just cause 3 where you have the grappling hook and the
Yeah.
parachute.
Yeah, just
Get that. Would also be great.
grapple 2 clickers together and make them smooch. You know.
But yeah, that was my only question for this. Did y'all have anything that you wanted to say before I ended the show?
No, it's good to talk to you, Sinead, though.
I know, I've missed you. I'm really excited for when you're over my shit again and start being mean to me. I'm like really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that too.
But yeah, so that's our show this week. You can find us on the YouTubes. We're also on most podcast apps like Podomatic, Spotify.
Just say all of them.
Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes.
We're not on all of them because I got lazy.
No, you know what?
But
look,
we're on a good portion of them.
All the ones that matter.
No, dude, we still got to get on Amazon and Audible. I have the link for it. I just been lazy about it.
Look. Amazon's on the way out, baby. All right. Amazon. This time next year, people are gonna be like,
literally just got my groceries from them.
Huh.
Yeah, that'll be the last time that happens.
Yeah. They're on the way out, baby. All right.
They're the only one who's ever done that, Tom. No one else.
Yeah, no one else. No one's doing that.
The comic I showed earlier, Amazon.
Yeah, no one.
Everything I bought for Christmas, Amazon.
And I bet I bet you bought that at a liquidation rate, at a clearance sale, because they're on the way out, baby. At this time next year, people are gonna be like, Amazon who?
Yeah,
like the rainforest.
Yeah. Trust me.
But yeah. We also have an Instagram, so we got a Discord. If you want to come, I know I already mentioned the YouTubes, but if you want to see our faces,
we'll be running the Instagram, by the way. So if you've been talking to me on there, I'll still be on there from time to time, but for the most part, you'll be talking to Ryan.
Yeah, talk to me. Talk to me. All right? I'm good. I'll be good to you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.